Yeah. So.
But just don't do it with D47.
Yeah, or RC212.
Yeah. So,
RC212.
I haven't found RC212. I haven't found RC212 bad with the temperatures that I'm able to sustain. But I find it's a real whiny pants when it comes to nutrients. Like, I pretty much double or triple the amount of nutrients, otherwise it throws off stank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that RC212 is a high-end yeast, if I'm not mistaken. So
it's definitely a high-maintenance yeast, but if you treat it right, it gives really nice results.
Yeah. But
it gives really nice dark fruit character. It really goes well with currants and boysenberries. I have a boysenberry mead going right now with RC212, and it's a great mead. I really love that yeast. I think it's a natural for dark fruit.
Yeah, and actually the closest I have ever come to Ken's Heart of Darkness is my cleaning out the freezer multi-fruit mel, and I used RC for one version of that, and I think it turned out pretty well.
The man makes great mead, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely not an everyday kind of mead.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know. I think I'm going to lean towards... I got to do another sizer this fall. I haven't done one in years, so I want to do another one.
You on the bounty. You want to.
Yeah, I do. I actually do want to do... Yeah, that would be a fun one to do. And
or apple of my chai.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun.
I got to taste mine. I haven't... My chai apple has been in the carboy for like 2 or 3 years. I haven't tasted it yet.
Well, and I found a couple of pre-blended chais that I really like, but I'm thinking about going back and doing my personal blend that I've done manually, by my own black tea. I like Assam and mix my own spices. And I've got this, okay, and this is John Talkington's fault. So John, if you're listening, this is your fault. He took me on a tour of Dogfish Head when I was up there for the East Coast meetup, and he took me back in the supplies room. Okay, so it's like where they all have their grains and everything is in there, and they had these bags of black cardamom, and the aroma on this was like sex on the beach, man. It was so awesome. I was just like, oh, I want to roll in that, It was just so cool. So I have got to get my hands on some black cardamom, and I want to do like a chai mead, but with a black cardamom instead of a green cardamom.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I'm just in my head. It sounds really good, so I've got to play with it and see what comes out of it. First, I got to get my hands on some black cardamom. That's the first step. But now I'm obsessing about this stuff ever since I smelt it because I've heard of it, but I'd never had the opportunity to be in the same room with it. So.
Actually, I first learned about it because the apartment we moved into in 2000 was a sublet from a really nice Indian family who wanted to downsize, and they left a package of black cardamom in the apartment. So we're like, what the hell? Let's see what it tastes like, and boy, is that a flavor packet!
Oh yeah, it's amazing stuff. So, and I'm a big fan of Indian and Middle Eastern style spices. Mm-hmm. So and which kind of brings up the whole. All right, Carvin, when you're putting together your flavor profiles for what you want a mead to come out as, is food one of your triggers for that? I mean, I forget who it was we were talking to on an earlier show that I think it might have been.
Give me a sec. I can scroll back.
I can't remember who it was. But anyway, we were talking about, people ask, where do you get your ideas for your recipes? And he was like, from what I cook. I like, I build it from cooking.
Absolutely. A couple things to touch on, so I touched on the tea, I touched on the smoothies, but I travel a lot all across the country, and my waistline will confirm this. I try to seek out ethnic desserts, and it's kind of weird when you go into restaurants and I just say I just need a beer and a dessert menu. because I find a lot of inspiration in ethnic desserts. So
that's evil, AJ. She says balaclava mead.
Baklava mead.
Evil. Okay, go ahead, Carvin. Sorry, she's sidetracking me.
I go out of my way to taste desserts from different cuisines, and I get a lot of inspiration that way. And also, just mixing tea. I love spices too as well. So I'll just go to the spice store and put different spices together, and and also like different berries. I always have currants, red currants, white currants, arona berries, boysenberries. I keep all these berries. My wife can testify to this. I probably got a cooler right now with 80 pounds of berries in them.
Oh,
and I really do mix these berries together, and I eat them all the time, and I try to come up with different flavor combinations. And once I have a combination that I like, then I'll go to honeys. And I literally probably have at least 32 different varieties of honeys in my garage. So once I come up with a berry profile, I'll go in my garage and I'll start using different honeys if I don't already have them, and I'll start mixing those berries with those different honeys too as well. And then when I find something that I like and I find the characteristics, I'll do a 1 gallon batch of that and see how it comes up, and so and then go from there. But yeah, I eat a lot of stuff, and that's how I usually come up with recipes. So.
I've been playing with the idea. I've got a huge collection. I've got a friend who runs a spice shop in the SCA, and she does a lot of really exotic stuff. So I'm constantly combing through her collection. She's got a website, and just finding stuff that I have no idea what it is, but it sure sounds interesting, and I'll order that. And and then I'll try it in different types of food and see what happens. And my husband has been the victim of a number of my let's see what happens if I do this recipes. And and some of them actually have become like staples in our diet, and others are like, never make that again, honey. I'm really, really fond of those, the Middle Eastern and the Indian spices, and trying to come up with interesting flavor combinations. I just bought a jar of, one of my favorite places lately is spicejungle.com. So if you haven't been there and you like spices, you need to go there. But for anybody who's listening, but their prices are really reasonable, and I got a whole jar of Spanish saffron. Like a handful of Spanish saffron for like $20. And I'm going, yes, I could do all kinds of fun stuff with this. So then I started thinking saffron mead. What else could I do with that? So it's kind of, bumping around in my head right now, is trying to come up with some combinations of different things that I can do to make some exotic meads that have the flavors of these countries that I find so interesting.
Absolutely, and you just got to play around. And I love to cook too, so that helps out. That helps out too as well. I love to put different honeys on chicken or fish to see, is the heat going to bring out a little bit of different flavors from those honeys that I couldn't get in like a tea or a smoothie too as well. So I do a lot of food research.
That's interesting. What are your cultural things that strike you culturally? Are there like specific types of flavor combinations that you tend towards besides berries that you find intriguing?
Well, I'm a Southern boy. I was born in New Orleans.
So chicken fried steak meat is probably not going to work, but yeah. David did that. It was like
gumbo and jambalaya meat aren't going to go too well, but I've kind of done some stuff around bread pudding and beignets and stuff like that. And,
banana pudding meat.
I did a bread pudding one that was pretty good, but one of my favorites that I don't think my wife would ever let me serve it to people, but it's like one of my favorites is I did a spice meat with like Creole seasoning and like crawfish boil.
Interesting. How did it turn out?
Well, I liked it. I don't think anybody in my family did, so therefore it will just remain in the garage, and I will just continue to drink it myself.
So that was one of those never make this again, honey kind of meats?
You know, most people don't associate crawfish boil and crawfish boil seasoning with mead, but me being...
You know, I could see it making a frigging amazing cooking liquor, though.
Oh my God, yeah, you can make a... You can make a marinade or a yeah.
It's like Mead's answer to fish sauce.
Yeah, that would be. Oh my God,
that would
be amazing. Okay, Carvin, when we come to Arizona, I think what we need to do is you and Robin get together with John and I, and we could talk mead, and our spouses could talk about the things we put them through.
Yeah, they probably start a support group.
Probably would.
My husband wants to join that.
Oh gosh. But yeah, we could. I mean, there's so many interesting combinations. I have got to pull up and post the recipe with the 26 spices in it. That was the first one that I ever made. Like, yeah, let's choose like the hardest mead to make work ever for your first mead. But I didn't know any better at the time. That was 20 some odd years ago. So.
Well, now you know about staggered nutrient, you know about aeration, you know about not leaving it on the lees, you know about choosing the right yeast,
you know about temperature control. Yeah.
You know about racking. So, yeah, doing an updated version of that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to, and I'll post the recipe up on the Got Mead Facebook and on the forum and let people know, you know, just to kind of do a how is it going to turn out. I'll have to make that this fall when I get home.
I agree. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I would love to see what you do with it too, because it was a recipe, and it's out of like a witchcraft book. I mean, literally, it's a book that was made by. It's called what the hell is it called? Still got the book, but I'm not home where I can look through my library. It was called Witchy Brews, I think, and it was like there was meads and ciders and just party drinks and, you know, all kinds of stuff, and this was in there, and it was Patricia Telesco was the author, and the book is actually still available on Amazon, and it was just, it had like everything from bay leaves to, you know, orange zest and everything in between. Yeah.
That would be a very interesting meat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like I say, it was the first one. It tasted like gasoline when I finished it. I entered it actually in the original Mazer Cup that Ken and his friends were running in Michigan at the time. This was back in the 80s. And
well, you definitely need to remake it and enter it again then.
Oh yeah, in the current Mazer Cup and see if it does any better. Competition's a lot steeper now than it was then. But yeah, I mean, what got me started on my meat thing was the responses that I got back, because it was awful. I knew it was awful, but I wanted people to tell me why it was awful. You know, I mean, I could tell. I drank it, and I'm like, blah, I'm not giving this to anybody.
No, I'm going to make a judge taste this.
Yeah. Oh, wow, what's this Bobby saying? Make a turmeric bug, and then chop up the root and cover it with honey. It'll lacto-ferment. Interesting.
Yeah. Bob does a lot of that.
Yeah,
Bob has
he
a very
made seaweed
mind.
mead. He makes all kinds of interesting stuff.
Banana flour is the weirdest thing I think I've ever thrown in one, aside from Chevette parts. But really, that's only to see if anybody's actually reading the disclaimer on my labels.
And see if anybody knows there was actually car parts in there.
Well, I put it on the label if there is.
Okay, so I keep thinking, you know, like carbon. Yeah. Oh God.
Chevette Weird Al.
Yeah. Chateau Chevette. So Carvin, okay, I gotta ask this. What were your biggest crashes and burns with meads?
I would say early on, you know, I just really didn't know what I was doing. I was, you know, I just fermenting things too hot and not using nutrients, and you know, I just made a lot of bad mead before I made a lot of good mead, and You know, if it wasn't for, you know, other home mead makers and, you know, helping me out along the way and, you know, tasting some of their meads, it wouldn't have never inspired me. But God,